Well, why I said this a bit, it can be difficult, is because, it can take you a day. You've seen when those big machines come to knock down a house. In fact, nowadays, if you have even a 100-story building, they just go and put some dynamite, whatever, all over the place. They knock it down one day, it's gone, right? But that building didn't take a day to build. That building could have taken 100 years to build, but you can knock it down in one day. So to destroy is very easy. To rebuild can be difficult. So that's why I said it might be difficult, but it's also easy because the problems that we have, I just showed you, they're simple. They are greed and selfishness. Our greed and selfishness. Our lack of communalism. Because some people say all these isms, I always say, well, I don't like all these isms. The only one I am a bit partial to is that communalism. The idea that we build strong communities where everybody feels welcome, where everybody feels that they belong, where every child is taken care of, because that child represents hope for the future, irrespective of who gave birth to him, where he was born, whatever social class, gender, religion, whatever. The way to go about it is not, some people will tell me we need to go and vote and change the government. That is a short-term solution. You can change the government. But you know the dilemma we all face. Elections are coming up now. Who do you vote for? I don't know how many parties we've got now. But if you look at all the people that have been pushed forward as presidential hopefuls or governorship or whatever, you look at all of them, think, this is the best we can do. This is the best we can do. And then people will tell you, just like the last elections that we had 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, when people said, well, we just choose the lesser of two evils. How did the society get to the point? And they are doing this in America too. Two-party system, choose the lesser of two evils. How does the society get to that point? Where you don't have quality people who are running for government, who as a people, we can say, we're pushing you up. We want you to be our leaders. We need to rearrange how we are doing everything. We borrow all our political systems, economic systems, we borrow everything from the West. Perhaps the crisis we are facing now will force us to the point where we start thinking we need to rethink our electoral process. We need to rethink our political process. Because this process that we're following, I don't think will lead us anywhere. So the solution, I don't think is going to be in the short. We can do the short term, thing where we vote. We hope we will vote somebody in who might try to change anything. But you see, the head is really, really spoiled. We know that the body itself is rotten. So even if you change the head, the body is rotten. So we need to fix the whole thing. So I prefer the long-term solution. And that's what I talk about in my music and all my writings. I don't waste my time picking names and criticizing somebody in government. They're not important. All these people in government right now, some of you think they're important. They're not important to me. I don't find them. They're blips. All of them are not, they're inconsequential. 50 years from now, nobody will even remember them. They're not important. You've got all these thieves and murderers, all these liars, all these fraudsters who are in Nigerian government all over at every level. All these people, we should talk about them. I waste my time talking about them. I don't even mention their names. They're not important. They're not relevant. They're a tool for punishing us right now. They punish us to the point that our heads maybe will now become correct. And then we'll realize that the way to solve our problems is to start fixing ourselves. I've said it in many of my songs. Omojuri from the Ferry album, 2006. It says, change begins at the individual level. We refuse to listen. That song is 16 years old now. Change begins at the individual level. So the values that our ancestors, and I'm going to do a little, I hope we have the time for it. See, people always try to say Yorubas are different from the Igbos and Efik and everybody is different. But anyway, all those cultural groups, they were all reaching for one thing, an ideal. Even the old European communities were reaching for that ideal. Because for man to be able to create a community that has peace and progress, we've had thinkers in this world for thousands and thousands of years who have thought, there's a tendency towards greed in the average human because they want to have self-preservation, they want to preserve yourself and yours. So there's a tendency towards greed and selfishness. But how do we help each and every one of us to break out of that and create a community where we can all feel welcome and we can all still get our fair share and feel like we belong. I know there will be those who will never be satisfied, but we always kind of have to create a system that takes care of them as well. People who want to have more, who want to strive for more, we can create a system that allows them to do what they want to do without destroying others. Not a society where you have some people just raping everybody and raping the system and becoming stupendously rich while the rest are poor and struggling. And they will say, well, that's capitalism. It's just the way it is. So from time immemorial, human beings have been trying to do this. And the Yoruba people, like other groups that I just mentioned, a lot of other cultural groups, they came up with this code for living. That if you could embrace this value system, you can improve yourself. And once you improve yourself, you can improve your society. And so the ethics, they are very simple. Those simple codes: hard work, honesty, patience, humility, perseverance, contentment. And they would say, what the Yorubas try to do? They say, omoluabi. Omoluabi means like the perfect person, the perfect human being. Yeah? The one you see and you'll be like, oh, I wish I could be like this person. This is the ideal. And they wanted us to aspire to that ideal. Go and check, even in the Igbo society, in the culture of other cultures in Nigeria, they were all trying for some of these things. So it's not just a Yoruba thing. But even if some cultures didn't have it, shouldn't we pick what we think is best, borrow it from whatever? The way we're borrowing from all these Western countries now, can't we borrow from our own environment? These ideals that the ancient Yoruba, not the Yoruba, the chop Yoruba people you see now, the ancient Yoruba people had that create this code for the ideal human. Can we all now strive for this ideal? To be this omoluabi, this well-behaved, this perfect character. And then how do we achieve it? By try to do those things ourselves. Hard work, honesty, truth, embracing the truth all the time, which includes then standing for social justice. Standing for social justice and equity. That's what truth means. It's all part of it. And then patience. Learning to be patient. These are the problems with Nigeria, with young Nigerians now. But it's not their fault, right? We know it's not their fault. But these are the problems. Patience. And then humility, of course. Learning to listen. To listen to wisdom and to act upon it. Not thinking we know everything. We already know everything. We're always in a hurry. We want to get everything done. And the humility. And then the perseverance. And then finally, the biggest one, contentment. You look at even those that some of us like to think are great men in Nigeria. I always like to tell people there are no great men in that country. There are no great men in Nigeria. No great men. There's no great man there. Because if you're a great person, your country should be doing well. Yeah, if you're a great man, your country should be doing well. All these great men in that country, and look at what we have created, it's a mess. But it's not their fault. All of us have a share in the blame for the failure of society. And that's been my point I've been saying. Some people argue with me. Yeah, I didn't contribute to it. I didn't contribute to it. We contributors are not just those who do the bad things. Those who condone it are also contributors. Those who keep quiet when evil is being done, they're also part of it. Those who take the crumbs from the table of the oppressors, they too are part of the problem. Every one of us has a share in the blame for the failure of this society. And so we need to fix ourselves, imbibe those values that I mentioned. Once we get there, we can now raise a new generation. That's my key point. We need to raise a new generation of people who are born believing and practicing those values. See, it's hard to change a 54-year-old like me. It's hard to change even a 30-year-old. They will strive for rebirth. They will strive, and they should strive. All of us should strive for rebirth, for change in our personal way of living, of thinking, the way we think. A change in the way we think. But it's easier with children. It's the same way that religion does. When the religion wants to catch you, they will indoctrinate your children. It's serious indoctrination. Up to the point that you now meet some people. They are so afraid to do anything against that religion, so afraid to even step out of that religion, so afraid to say some things. Because early indoctrination, the way it can stays with you for life. That's what we have to do with our children in teaching them the right things. We need to teach them all these values. If you start your child, every child, and when I say your child, I don't mean the one you had biologically. I mean every child in your environment is your child. And we all should be responsible for all the children in our environment. We teach the children the values, those values of hard work and honesty and truth, and patience and humility and perseverance and contentment. We teach them that. We will create a new generation of Nigerians whose minds are in the right place. A new generation that will totally change everything. In that generation, you will now find the right followers, the critical mass you need for change. You will now create a new leader who is above all the nonsense that these men and women you have in power now are doing. When you look at the people in power now, I don't get angry with them. Because these people are victims of circumstance. You can say all you want. You can say I always feel bad for people who are the way these Nigerian leaders are. These are people who are not well raised. Nobody who is well raised will lead the way they are leading. Nobody who has been well raised, who was given the right values as a child, will treat his people the way these people are treating their people. Nobody who was raised with love will participate in destroying his own country. And nobody who's raised properly will want to see a child in the country that you lead, or in the state that you lead, or in the local government that you lead. You want to see a child go hungry? You want to see the children go to those horrible schools? You want to see those children walking on the streets with their torn slippers and sandals and rags? You want to see those children go on the streets selling nonsense to motorists? It doesn't bother you? See, these people are not well raised. And they've found their way to power through their greed and selfishness. And some of them through evil and wickedness. But I don't get angry with them. I feel pity for them. Because I know they weren't well raised. But we can raise a new generation. We can raise a new... we can start something different. And that's the long term. And that's what I've been preaching. I've not been too interested in... The short-term solutions are there. There you can do it. We can go on this road and protest. And bring the government down. Oh, we'll protest, we want this, we want that. We'll bring the government down. And then we'll put somebody else there. But that person... It's still going to be perhaps the same thing like these people. Maybe it's going to be a bit not as bad as them, but it's not. I don't think this whole election every 4 years changing people, it's what it is. It's a short-term solution, long-term solution for a society that wants to be powerful, a society that wants to be top of the line, a classy society. We've got to plan and execute it from the roots, and we can do it. You don't know. Many societies that have, if you read history, you will see it. Many societies that have become preeminent, that became the stars in the Committee of Nations. This is what they did. You plan it. Then you teach your children the right things. In 25 years, you've raised millions of people whose minds are just so amazingly beautiful. And then they just do things in the proper way. And you have a nice society, and then people start wanting to come and live there because you can see that this is a nice place, this is a good place. Let me tell you how early indoctrination helps people. All the things I'm telling you now, I didn't just come up with them. I came up with them because early in my life, my grandmother used to tell me these things. But they were reinforced by the people in my environment. They were reinforced by the books that I read. I learned to discern, to know what to pick from a book and what I didn't want. And when you raise people like that, to be able to think clearly, to be able to embrace truth and embrace perseverance and embrace contentment, you have a generation that can change things anywhere in the world. A generation that can find peace within, that can be the peace within, then becomes communal peace, national peace, and progress. But the way we are going about it now, we're a work in progress. What I like about us is it's not a hopeless situation. You know why I say that? Because there are people like you who are concerned. And every time there's a big issue, either it's about insecurity or about issues with moral decadence, whatever, there's an outcry. There's an outcry by ordinary people. That shows you that we have hope. That shows you that there are people who care. We are not all lost. And so we have a chance to say what we are saying. And hopefully, if we can find that core of, the critical mass of good-minded people who want to see progress, then maybe we can start to codify some of these things and teach the next generation, so that maybe 30 years from now, we'll have a different country. I might not be there. I don't care if I'm there or not. I might not be there. And that's not the issue. The issue is that I feel every human being, you should, I feel, this is what I think. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I think the purpose of your life as a human being is to live this world better than you met it. By injecting, using all your energy, your wherewithal, all your intelligence, all the talent you've got, to use all that to be a blessing to your society. And you doing that through my music and the things that I write. I'm trying to inject that positivity into my people in the hopes that other people will pick it up, and all of us working together, we can build this new society. We can make it work. We can make things work. It doesn't matter whether we break. People say maybe if you break up, it will change. You can break up into small units, like where you have the Keja nation and the Agege nation, and the Umaya nation and the Kano nation. You can break even to that point where you are smaller than just Yoruba land, Igbo land, or you can break down into that. You still will not have progress if you don't have the right values. So the problem with Nigeria is not just all that people say, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's... No, it's more than that. It's the value system that we hold as a society. You can never, with this kind of rotten system that we're running, you can never have good leaders. If you ever, by accident, get one, they'll get rid of him very quickly. Because the forces of evil are too strong in that country, the way we're running things. So we need to totally change everything that we're doing. And it can happen. It's possible.